All right, hello everyone. Welcome to our next lesson here. This is Reconstruction and African Americans. This is for our unit Reconstruction. So, our objectives and standards. You will be able to describe how African Americans increased their role in politics during Reconstruction, and you will be able to understand the role of churches and schools in the lives of African Americans during Reconstruction. Take a moment there to look over the standards, please. All right, so our desired result. How did African Americans work to improve their lives during Reconstruction? How did African Americans work to improve their lives during Reconstruction? So new arrivals bring new changes. The start of Reconstruction led to the arrival of Northerners in the South. Now, some were elected to new state governments who Southerners saw them as invaders, and they were called carpetbaggers. They were called carpetbaggers because they usually brought with them bags that were made from fabric or carpet, and they didn't want them there because they felt like they were intruding on their way of life, and they were trying to change things. So many Southerners were not happy with these new so-called carpetbaggers. While some Northerners took advantage of the war-devastated South and, took advantage of people, others looked to improve things, such as teachers. There were many white teachers that were coming to the South to help educate African Americans. So that is one thing that did kind of change as well. Excuse me. Southerners also did not like people they called scalawags. Scalawags were white Southerners who supported Reconstruction. Again, they kind of saw them as traitors, or kind of, turning their back on their own people type of things. So many people were not happy with carpetbaggers or scalawags during this time period. So politics and African Americans. Since the passage of the 15th Amendment, many African Americans took an active role in governing the South. African Americans worked in different levels and positions in government. Some were mayors. Sorry about my crazy check mark there. Let me try to fix that. There we go. It's a little bit better. Some were mayors, police chiefs, school commissioners, state legislators, and representatives in Congress. This picture here shows you African Americans that were senator and also representatives in Congress in the 41st and 42nd Congress of the United States. Newly elected Republican legislators repealed or got rid of black codes. Others created schools and hospitals and rebuilt roads, railways, and bridges. Remember, the South had been devastated by the Civil War, so they began to rebuild these things. However, corruption was a problem for some Republicans in the South, and one major issue was graft. Now, graft is the illegal gain on money, or of money, that should say of money. Sorry, let me fix that real quick. Of money through politics, and that's a major problem for Republicans in the South during this time, okay? Now, due to this, Democrats were able to take back power in the 1870s. Again, this is a picture here that shows you how African Americans began to get involved in governing the South during Reconstruction. Now, the role of churches. For African American communities, churches were typically at the center. Many times, schools were held in churches. They also held social events and political gatherings, such as church picnics and festivals. Many communities used churches as unofficial courts, and churches also promoted social values, settled disagreements, and provided discipline for improper behavior. So schools and education. Many African Americans looked to gain an education during Reconstruction. There were some 4,000 Southern schools. There were some 4,000 Southern schools, and about, just trying to change here, and about 200,000 former slaves in education by 1870. Just kind of change that here for you. So, end in education. Okay. Just gonna abbreviate education there, EDU, for education. Half of the 9,000 teachers were African Americans as well. Many African American schools or institutions had specialized education that helped grow African American colleges, universities. An example of that is what you see in this picture here is the Hampton Institute. Okay, I believe it's still around today. I believe it's Hampton College today or Hampton University, not 100% what it's called today. But the Hampton Institute trained youth to learn skills and get land, homes, and jobs. All right, so our closure. How did African Americans work to improve their lives during Reconstruction? Think about how they were involved in politics. Think about their work in churches and schools and the roles those played as well. That'll help you answer your questions. Hope you have a great rest of your day or night and hope to talk to you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.